Hi guys, welcome back. It is absolutely pouring with rain here in Seattle this morning. I've just been on a dog walk and I am absolutely drenched. So I'm just trying to quickly change and get dry because I have a limited amount of time to talk to you all before the boys wake up. Right, is this damn camera going to stay in focus? I feel like when I do these videos the focus is just in and out, so if anybody has a Canon G7X and you know how to stop the focus like panning in and out, please let me know because it's very frustrating. But hello, how are we all? I'm hoping I can quickly film this video before the boys wake up. Actually, they've been down since 8:30 and it's now 9:45, so I'm assuming that they're going to wake up in the next 15 minutes. So today we're talking about products that I regret buying. Now I know that sounds very negative and I don't mean to sound negative, but I was looking through a lot of my comments on YouTube and I know a lot of you are pregnant with twins or expecting twins and following me, so I was trying to rack my brain to think of videos that I would have loved to watch back when I was pregnant, and I did do so much research on like things to buy and it's so overwhelming, and I know there's so much that you can buy and so many items are recommended by so many different people and you just feel like you need to buy everything. So by no means do I actually regret buying this stuff, it's more that I shouldn't have bought it so early on because I didn't end up using it or I didn't like it, and it was something that I maybe could have got later on. Maybe I would have still bought the things and not needed them or not used them, but hopefully this will save you if you're watching this and you don't want to buy so much stuff, or you're wondering if there's some items that you maybe can postpone and buy later on when your babies are born. So that's what I'm hoping this video will be helpful for. But by all means buy what you think you need, because everybody swears by different things, right? And so many different things are loved by some and not loved by others, so it all really just depends on you. But if there's any way of saving a bit of money here and there, we're all for that, right? So I'm just going to list some of the things that I didn't end up using or didn't like and explain the reasons why, and you can take it with a pinch of salt as you will, and yeah, hopefully it will help you. So let's get started. I can never remember, so I have to write everything down on my phone. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is clothing. This is a huge topic because everybody wants to know what clothes, and you buy so many clothes and you don't know what size to buy, and there's so many cute things, so you buy so much stuff. So for our boys, I thought they were going to be so small because everyone tells me that twins are going to be smaller. Obviously they're being two, they're going to be smaller than a singleton. Well, they were quite small. They were £6.3 and £6.14, but damn did they grow quickly. So I bought a few preemie clothes. Well, they didn't fit from the moment they were born, so that was pointless. So don't assume that they're going to be preemies, because mine weren't and they did not need those clothes. It's difficult, obviously you don't know, maybe they're going to be and you need those things, but it also doesn't matter if the clothes are slightly big. They grow so fast, so if they're slightly big for them, who cares? So I really wouldn't bother. If I was to be pregnant with twins again, I wouldn't get any preemie clothes, just newborn clothes. As for newborn clothes, I didn't think we had much. We maybe had like 15 onesies. It was plenty, guys. I will say at the beginning, those first like 6 weeks or however long they were in the newborn clothes, they didn't really spit up. They didn't burp loads of milk. They didn't have blowouts or accidents. They once in a while maybe peed through the diaper, but I didn't really need to ever change their clothes throughout the day or throughout the night. So I actually found it hard to make use of all those clothes while they were fitting into newborn clothes. When I boxed them away, I was looking at them like, oh my god, they only wore that once or twice. So it's hard, I know, because there's so many cute things out there, but honestly try and buy like a range of different sizes, because my boys grew so fast. They were really only in those newborn clothes for like 6 weeks, and we had so many newborn clothes and then hardly any of the ages above, and we kind of learned our lesson and then didn't want to spend a lot, so they've just made do with like very minimal clothes since then. So yeah, don't go wild buying clothes if you can, because I know it's like the cutest thing to buy. The next thing, this is also involved in clothes, is for me personally, I wouldn't go out of your way buying 2 pieces for them at the beginning, like jeans and shirts and vests and trousers and things like that, because They are so tiny, you don't want to keep changing them and fussing with like waistbands and socks, and the main thing is that their feet are covered, right, and their hands, if you want their hands covered and you're going out and stuff a lot. So really those onesies with the little mittens attached are so easy. You can quickly whip them on and off. You don't have to fuss like getting their little feet through things and their waists around things. We bought some really expensive jeans for the boys, and I think they were 0 to 3 months. And by the time I got round to dressing them in them, they didn't fit. I was absolutely devastated because they weren't that cheap and they were cute. But I put them on and they were really long for them, but they were really tight around their bellies. So they just didn't fit correctly. If I'd have put them on 2 weeks earlier, they probably still wouldn't have fitted right. And they just looked so uncomfortable, and they cried when I was trying to put them on them. So the whole thing was just a waste of money and not a sensible idea. So yeah, even things with like newborn jumpers, for me, the onesies are the only ways to go. And if you can do the zip up ones, even better, especially for night times when you're tired and you're trying to change diapers. I have watched some of these videos by other ladies and they were like, don't buy button ups. Button up onesies are a pain in the neck. I didn't find that. I love the button up ones. They don't bother me at all. So as I said earlier, it's all up to you, but just buy a range of things and don't go crazy with one certain type of clothing, because if you don't like it, it's really a waste of money. And some of those clothes are not cheap. Some of the onesies that we bought for the boys that we loved were like $30 each, and they wore it like a handful of times. Okay, another thing in clothing is the gowns with the knots at the ends, the knotted gowns. They are so cute, and I also thought, wow, that is such a good idea. You just undo the knot, pull them up and change their diapers. But let me tell you, no good if you're going out in the car seats. They obviously need the strap that goes between their legs, and you cannot do that with a knotted gown. So be wary of that. I also found like trying to undo a knot at night, like that was not for me. We actually only bought one of these outfits for them each, and we just put them in it purely for a photo. We did not use it. I didn't get along with them. I know a lot of people like them, so again, take that as you will, but for me, don't bother with the knotted gowns. Also, another thing about knotted gowns is you cannot put them on around them. You have to put them over their head. My boys hated things like that. They just, again, they seem so fragile in the beginning, and they hated anything going over their head that was at all like slightly tight. It would set them off crying, and then there was a whole big drama, and it would stress me out, stress them out, and everything else. So yeah. Okay, moving on from clothes, the next item is blankets. Receiving blankets, swaddling blankets, all the blankets. We've got maybe 20 blankets in their room, and I have not used them. Like, I don't like using blankets at night. I find it's not safe, right? They advise you not to use blankets at night. I know some people use them and tuck them round, and if that works for you, no judgment there, but I've just always used the sleep sacks. I find it super easy, and I just think, especially with Jack and Henry, they kick and they roll and they throw their arms around and everything everywhere. They would find a way to get out of that blanket. So I haven't used those for that reason. We have occasionally used them over the car seats to keep them warm, but my brother and sister-in-law did actually get these like specific blankets that are used for the car seats, and because we're here in Seattle and it has been very cold, we've just used those. We haven't bothered with like loose blankets at all for the car seats. And then I thought I'd use them as sort of like burp cloths, but I just haven't. And they've just been like that annoying item that sits around and gets passed here, there and everywhere and really not used properly. So you're gonna get a few, but I wouldn't go overboard and buy loads like we did. Again, swaddling, I have not used the blankets to swaddle them. I tried at the beginning when we got home from the hospital because again, they look cute, they do it in the hospital, and I thought I could get along with it. But with 2 babies especially, you are always under a time constraint. You're trying to do everything as quick as you can from one baby to the next. So a Velcro swaddle or a zip up swaddle or anything like that, you're gonna opt for that over a loose blanket that you're trying to wrap around and get tight and get them all secure in. So yeah, and you do not want to be doing that in the middle of the night either. So swaddling blankets were a no-go for me. Just get the Velcro ones. The next item that goes along with clothing again is shoes, newborn shoes. We didn't actually buy these. I bought Alid 1 pair for Christmas for the boys. It was kind of a little joke that matched his shoes. I thought it was quite cute, but I never bought it intentionally for him to be putting them on the boys. But again, they don't walk. What is the point in them putting shoes on? It's uncomfy for them probably. I would not go out of your way buying shoes. It's just a waste of money and not something that your baby needs until they're actually walking. Next up is, now this I was really surprised by, the bottle sterilizer. I watched videos and people recommending these things like mad. I think I bought the Advent Philips sterilizer. You put all the like teats and nipple things of the bottles at the top and all the big large items of the bottles in the bottom. And then you just fill this little tray up with water and you turn it on and it lasts like a 40-minute cycle. I used this a lot at the beginning, and over time I was just like, the bottles weren't coming out clean, and even the teats and things like that, they were just like still grimy when I got them out and the cycle had finished. So I panicked straight away. I was like, I don't want the boys to get sick because of this. It's clearly not working right. And the heat plate at the bottom was getting really dirty, and I read the instructions and it said to only use purified filtered water, and I was using the water that was coming out of our filter in the fridge, and it still wasn't like obviously cleaning correctly. So the whole thing was a bit of a sham for me. It wasn't cleaning it properly, and I've gone back to the old-fashioned way of using sterilizer tablets in the sink with boiling hot water, and it works like a charm. Yes, it's a bit of a fuss. I have to air dry it and it's just a bit time consuming, but it's not worth spending money on a machine that isn't correctly cleaning the bottles and having a risk of them getting poorly from it. So yeah, that for me was a waste of money, and I don't think it was that cheap. I think it was like $70. So that for me was a no-go. Oh, sorry guys, I just had to run off there for a second, but I'm back. So where were we? Next up was teething items, teething gels, teething toys. There is so many products out there for teething. So I don't think my boys have really gone through like a rough teething stage yet. There's been days where I think they have been, but I'm not entirely sure. But I've been out and I've spent money on different things for teething, and they've all been pretty pointless so far. So I'll probably do another video on this later on and let you know what I did find successful. But I bought some things in Target which were like little mittens where they can chew the end, because they're not quite at the stage of holding stuff for very long. They just drop it, or they misplace it, or they can't coordinate the hand to their mouth. But again, with this mitten, it's the same thing. They're just too fussy for like something on their hand. They want their hand free. So that was a waste of like $10 each. I bought some teething cooling gels. They started screaming the minute I put this on their gums. They hated that. What else did I buy? They've got some bandanas with like little teething bits at the end. These I feel like may come in useful, but at the moment, again, they can't figure out how to get that from here into their mouth. So maybe that will come in useful in time. But yeah, the only thing that they really like at the moment is this like ring toy that I have. I'll put a picture up of it. One end of it is rubber and one end of it is wood, and they seem to love chewing on both parts of that. That was actually gifted to me, so thank you if you're watching this and you gifted it to me. They love that. So yeah, teething, from what I know so far, it only lasts like one day they'll be really bad and the next day it's kind of past, and then it will come on again later on. So my boys just want cuddles and attention when they're feeling a bit under the weather, it seems, and none of those items were really helping. A lot of people have suggested to me the washcloths, either dipped in water or dipped in formula or breast milk and then popped in the freezer so they're really cold for them to chew on. I tried it, but again, the boys just can't seem to hold on to things and keep chewing it for very long, and end up like throwing it or putting it on them, and it's just like making them cold and wet. So yeah, maybe as they get a bit older and they're really teething badly, a lot of these things will come in useful, fingers crossed. But don't go out of your way buying a load of stuff in advance. Wait and see how your babies do. Next up is the bathtub. Guys, this is like the sterilizer. This is one of the things that I never ever dreamt I'd be wasting my money on. I bought the Baby Boom, I think. I'll put a picture up, I can't remember the brand, but this one. I bought this and I thought, oh, this is going to be brilliant. Again, a lot of people reviewed this and said it was great. We tried it the first couple of times that we bathed the boys. Now, at the beginning, they were far too small and dainty. Like, trying to hold them and keep their head steady and bath them was a nightmare at the beginning. It didn't feel safe and it didn't feel secure, and quite frankly, like, I couldn't wash them properly in this tub, so we started just bathing them ourselves. Alid normally gets in and gives them a good wash. Again, because there's so much like picking up and lifting involved and bending, it's just much easier if someone's in the bath with them and giving them a good wash and securely holding them to risk any danger. Like, it's no joke, them being in the bath, like any minor accident there is not going to be good. So for me, that was the safest way. As they got bigger, we tried it again just a couple of weeks ago. I thought this is going to be perfect now, because they're not quite at the stage where they can sit up on their own, but they're much more stability on their own. They can kind of keep their head up and have that strength to kick around. But again, it was a complete nightmare. Now they seem a little bit too big for it, and Henry especially is kicking like mad, like just kicking like wild, and he feels like he's going to fly out of it and the water's going to go over him. Yeah, it's not very secure, so we're not risking it. We don't like it. We're going to buy something else in a couple of weeks when they're sitting up. A friend of mine has shown me something that she used and it looks great, so I will make sure I update you all on that, because it's becoming hard for Alid to bath them now. They just want to sit there and enjoy the water, and I feel like they're not getting quite enough bath time because we're trying to get in and out and get it done quickly. So I'm looking forward to letting them sort of sit there and play themselves. But yeah, that was one of those purchases that I definitely don't regret, because I had no idea that I wasn't going to get along with it. But if you feel like it's another thing to buy, you're better off just bathing them, because it's very hard to clean in between all those little rolls and things when they're not directly on you and you're holding them. So yeah, there's that. And I think that's about it. The last thing was the burp cloths. We have millions of burp cloths in there. I can't even tell you how many. And everyone told me that I needed these, and I get it, you need them. The babies spit up and they're sick and that, this and that, but we are never with the burp cloth when that happens. I swear, you could have it with you every time you feed them and every time you're burping them, and then the minute you finish and you get up and go somewhere, out comes all the milk and all the sick, and I just never have it with me when it happens and when you need it. So we have, I don't know, 5 of these downstairs at any point in time, and normally the dog is running off with one, but they're more there to wipe things up rather than actually catch it at the time. So yeah, I haven't found them that useful, and I just end up washing a lot of my clothes because it gets on me more than it gets on those cloths. So buy some, but don't go overboard. Yeah, and the last thing that I will mention is the Nursery like rocker or glider. I don't regret this. This is not one of my regrets. I love my chair. It's the most comfortable thing. But if you're having twins, you probably won't feed them on there. If you're trying to tandem feed, you won't be able to sit on the chair and feed them both at the same time, or at least I couldn't. So we haven't spent much time in the nursery, especially on that chair at all. But yeah, I don't know if it's something that you desperately need. Now I'm finding that I'm using it a bit more. Now the boys are a bit bigger and I can do things with them independently. If I read them a book or something, I'll occasionally sit on that chair, and I used to sit and pump on that chair all the time. But it's definitely not an essential item, and also just doing their nursery is not essential because you don't use it for so long. They're sleeping in your room at the beginning and you're holding them in your bedroom or downstairs or wherever, and until they're really sleeping in the nursery and playing in there, yeah, there's no rush. I guess there's a rush because you don't want to be doing it once they're born, but if you don't have the funds or the availability to do up a nursery for them, don't worry about it. It's definitely not essential. So yeah, I think that is everything. I'm wondering whether to do a video on things that I'm really glad I bought, because there are a few items that I was like, do I need one? Do I need two? Do I even need it all together? And it's been like amazing for me. So let me know if you guys want me to do a video on that. It will probably be about 8 to 10 items again that I found really useful. I just feel like, do you buy 2 cribs? Do you buy a bassinet? Do you buy 2 bassinets? Do you buy 2 docker tots? Do you even buy a docker tot? Do you buy carriers? Do you buy 2 carriers? All this stuff. You just don't know if you need 1 or 2 or none. And obviously you can make do with the most minimal things. If you don't have it, you find another way to do it. But it is nice to know that other people maybe haven't found use in that item. So it's like a bit of a waste of money to go out and buy 2 especially. So yeah, let me know and I'll do a video on some of the items that I've absolutely loved and used a lot of. But yeah, until then, keep the comments coming. I've loved getting to know some of you. Lynn, if you're watching, I can't believe a lady called Lynn is following me, guys, and she lives like 20 minutes away from where I grew up. How weird is that? Like, I'm all the million miles away here in Seattle, and somebody that lives 20 minutes up the road from where I grew up is following me and commenting on my videos. So that is amazing. So hi Lynn, I wanted to do a personal little hello because it's lovely to have a little conversations with you guys in comments and know who's watching and what everybody's up to. So yeah, please keep the comments coming, and please keep the likes going and subscribe. It really helps me, and I'm enjoying getting to know some of you and building this little channel here and community. So yeah, any video ideas or video requests, let me know. Any cooking requests, let me know. But yeah, we'll be back next time, and I hope you're having a good week.